Points, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, before recovering somewhat. Deborah Costrin has the details.
My parents were super Christian, so they never bought Call of Duty or Halo for me as a kid. So when I first figured out how to download this FPS game on my computer, holy fuck! This era, this FPS era in the late 2000s, heaven, euphoria, KFC Guitar Hero meal on my lap, God on my side. But in the midst of this, there was a problem. See, cheating was rampant and companies were shifting their games from free to play to pay to win. And with Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, Halo all having a paywall, this is what we were forced to deal with. But still, we prevailed. While we missed out on that golden era of 360 no scopes, we got zombie modes. We got hella zombie modes, man. We got a lot of zombies. Now, of course, now there's Valorant, Warzone, Rainbow Six Siege, Fortnite, whatever. But this right here was the stage of experimentation, the Wild West. This was when Chinese and Korean executives would just start throwing shit on the wall and hope that it sticks. And if you look back, it's just like ideas a 5-year-old will make. What if we have a bunch of big green monsters with spikes fly around and attack you and you get to be the monster too? What if you could turn into a werewolf and just start attacking everybody? It would be really cool. What if we could shoot nutshot, have nutshot? What if we had a video game that allowed for an extremely complex set of keyboard combos which unexpectedly gives rise to the Super Smash Bros. Community as a way to escape from hungry boxes Jigglypuff down? It was like when phone companies made every design possible to try beating out the competition with no actual testing of what people want, just what they thought was going to be cool. And with every industry having that at the beginning, I feel like that's something that's just never captured again once they finally figure out, the formula. And with some of these games actually having a revamp or a 2.0 recently, it begs the question if these games could still stand the test of time. And who's the best person to try and figure this out besides a guy like me? I never played this game. I never played that as a kid. I played that recently, actually. That was a pretty fun game. I don't even know what that. Free-to-play games weren't really a concept because developers back then were too busy figuring out how to make a pixel bounce from a line. But flash forward to 1997 and this guy, Matt Mahaley, created Agia, Dreams of Divine Lands. It's a typing multiplayer world where you just read prompts and type what you want to do. Think Dungeons and Dragons, but it was just on like MS-DOS. So old Matt here decided wanted to make some money off this and put a pretty hefty price on some of these game items. Now you would think in the 90s that the items would only be like $5, but because there was no real concept of how much an in-game item should cost, he made it like $500 to like get to level 80. I mean, I guess if you were a computer enthusiast at the time, you had like that .com bubble money before it all went to shit. So fast forward a bit, FPS games started to implement this model, which of course turned into the clusterfuck that it is now with gacha systems, loot boxes, Genshin Impact, whatever. So let's just start at the beginning with a game we may all know, Sudden Attack. That's not Sudden Attack.
Hi guys, Omer from MMOHot.com, and I'm doing a quick first impression gameplay video for Sudden Attack.
Now, Sudden Attack released in America in 2005, one of the first that tried to compete with Counter-Strike and really gave that feeling of a free FPS game. Now, at the time, you could pretty much categorize the feel of first-person shooters in the realm of Call of Duty or Counter-Strike, but Sudden Attack branches to its own little thing. The recoil feels different, it feels less like you needed to control a shooting pattern and more so an erratic spray and pray, but also making the sniping mechanics similar to Counter-Strike. To me, what set Sudden Attack apart was how it was just like a clear-cut, no-frills shooter. It's like when you can't afford a restaurant burger, so you end up getting McDonald's and you're like, oh, this isn't what I really wanted, but then you bite into it and then there's just something about that cheapness that makes you want it more than an actual burger sometimes. Unfortunately, they shut down in 2014, and although I found a website that says they have the original download, I'm not gonna risk it. My Aura sponsorship is over, and I don't trust Microsoft Defender to scan the files. B tier is a solid game, not too many cool tricks about it though. Oh, this game is an FPS, it's not a first-person shooter. I don't know why you're including that. Do I look like I give a fuck? gunz released in 2006 in America by the publishers IJJI. And yes, while it's not a first-person shooter, it still was one of the biggest games during this era, so it'd be crazy not to talk about it at least a little. Now, if you don't know this game, this shit was just the hardest thing to get into. You create a character, you got a gun, SMG, and a sword and dagger. Go to team deathmatch and start killing everybody. Simple, right? Well, in 2004, there was a mechanic called K-Style, which basically means you could cancel movements in order to stay in movement and essentially keep shooting and dodging without stopping. So for example, there's one mechanic called Swap Shot. You have one gun, you shoot, then quickly go to your second gun and shoot again, reducing time to pump your shotgun and get more hits in. Butterfly, where you jump, dash, hit, and block in rapid succession so you can hit while still blocking the attacks. Slash Shot, jump, dash, slash, switch to your gun, then shoot, which allows you to hit twice if you're in close combat. Then you have Grounded Double Half Step. What the fuck? This is what I mean by, like, it's so sweaty. Like, there's this guy that does 757 actions per minute while playing the game. I was 9 years old. How the fuck did I think I was gonna have a chance at this? But I'm a bit grown up now. Let's see what I could do now. Even though I suck dick at this game still, I think the one thing about gunz is that because the learning curve is extremely difficult, it feels incredibly rewarding whenever you leave the game. A tier. Soldier Front. This is pretty much the same deal as Sudden Attack, except in Soldier Front, you could go to left-handed mode. S tier. Wolf Team. It's pretty much this. This is what it is, like, actually. It sets itself apart by being a bit more futuristic with the environment, guns, and the obvious evolution of us humans getting the ability to turn into caro.png. The feel of this game is the same as the rest, except your recoil and mouse just kind of follows the jaggedness of the bullets, which is a nice subtle difference, but I just cannot get over the fact that you can't have iron sight. Instead, they just let you zoom in a bit, and this is kind of one of the biggest things I hated about these games. Okay, Call of Duty, sick ass game. Kill streaks, quick scopes, you could use iron sight. Battlefield, ride the cars, ride the helicopter, you could destroy environments, iron sight. Halo, Borderlands, Medal of Honor, Crisis, Fear, fucking Minecraft mods back in the day all had iron sight. These were AAA games. You follow their formula in order to appeal to the free-to-play users. So why the fuck did any of these guys have any good iron sight? Okay, I understand if you're just trying to be a Counter-Strike clone, that's not a mechanic you'd randomly just want smacked in there. Even though it'd probably blow your mind if there was a Chinese CS clone that did it for you. And sure, some of these games had it, but for the most part, you needed to buy a scope. The recoil was just super jaggedy, and there's no animation to zoom in. I want that fluidness. I want that animation from hipfire to iron sight. Don't give me that half-ass shit that Alliance of Valiant Arms had. The scope's right there. Just move your eye. Make the gun just move a little bit, man. Just make it nice and cute. Operation 7. This had iron sight. Did I play it though? No. My computer ran Windows Vista and had Intel HD graphics. I was oppressed. I was oppressed back then. Also, I don't know why the website is just purely in Spanish now, but because of that, I'll give it A tier. KOS Secret Operations. Solid shooter, same as the rest. Iron sight? No. D tier. Sanction Renegades. Okay, this one is like the super niche genre because it was actually a flash game and barely anyone I knew played this. It gives off like if Far Cry had a Crisis heads-up display, but was made in a fever dream using the Guerrilla's driving game engine from ya.com. You're basically just in a desert and can choose between these two characters. Capture the point, you could destroy buildings, you have iron sight. A tier. Warrock. I mean, you could roll. And finally, we get into the most viral game of all. The one I'm sure all of you have fond memories of back in the day. Combat Arms. Wrong video.
Hi guys, this is Omer from MMOHut.com. I'm doing a quick gameplay video.
This shit was the magnum opus of free-to-play. The animations were smooth, the website looked sick, text after chain kills felt rewarding, nut shots. This to me was the golden standard. Who needs Modern Warfare 2 Rust? We had Junk Fleet. Look at the vein on that guy's wrist. Look at the zombie mode. Look at the kill streak graphics. Double kill, multi-kill, ultra kill, fantastic, unbelievable. Now, this guy's getting so many kills right now. Let's just zoom out a bit. Damn. Now, I want to make a preface and just confess, when I was 10 years old, I hacked a little bit. A lot. almost like every day. You're gonna tell me that as a preteen kid, if you had the opportunity to find out about GameKiller.net, MPGH, Elite PvPers, and found out all it took was just like downloading some file into your game, you could kill everybody in the map and have no repercussions. White boy summer, baby. Okay, obviously it's bad to hack. And this was one of the biggest reasons why a majority of these games died out, because developers, for some reason, just couldn't get rid of these hackers. It made the community feel like they weren't being cared for, and ultimately made you go like, you know what? Fuck this, I'm playing League of Legends now. But on the other hand, if you can't beat them, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Jerk them up. If you're in a lobby and you realize 90% of the players in that room are hackers, that's a feeling you can't really get anymore. That's a crazy high. That's like cocaine in the 80s. Because we all realize we're fucking scumbags, but now the playing field is leveled out. I remember this one particular feature called telekill, where once you start attacking, you instantly spawn in front of someone and kill them. And if you just keep attacking, you'll kill everybody in the map. It was that one snow map where I remember literally everybody was doing it. So then it just came to a point to see who was gonna get like the most points out of everybody else. It was sick. Like, just take a look at this and tell me as a kid you wouldn't be at least a little interested in knowing how to do this. But I'm a grown man now. Let's see if I could just play this game. And with hacking, you also had the argument about glitching as well. But honestly, that felt more like a mechanic you should learn than something we should remove. Like in Crossfire mutation mode, you have to hide from these green monsters so you don't get infected. So what people would do is glitch into the box right here in one of these maps, like that. They sink into the box, and that way the monsters, they don't have ranged weapons, but they can't get you unless they try to do the glitch themselves. But then you're a person, so then you could just shoot them and then you kill them. It was amazing. So since everyone knew about these glitches, it didn't feel like an exploit, but just more so a strategy because you know how to get in there. And that's something we can't really have anymore, because once a glitch is found in any kind of game right now, they just like instantly patch it. But anyways, let's just hack our way out of this segment and explain the other half of why these games fell off, which is the pay-to-win system. You know, I think for a majority of these games, even the ones that I haven't mentioned, like Battlefield Heroes or Blacklight Retribution, they all suffered from the major problem, which is how are these executives going to make money off us? You know, most games started out with just cosmetics in hopes that people would feel a social ranking amongst their peers. And to be honest, that worked for me because I always wanted to be the beautiful siren from Combat Arms with the Arctic sniper rifle. But for some reason, it just wasn't enough for them. And so their only plan at the time was to start making people spend money for better guns, better perks, VIP status, whatever. So that just keeps snowballing until you had people purchasing miniguns and 20% speed boost, where it was clearly just paying to win at that point. But apparently that wasn't even enough for them. But at that point, dude, I call bullshit. In 2012, Combat Arms had 3 million registered users, and that was a little past its peak time too. So imagine how many it had at like 2009. You're telling me Nexon, the company that made MapleStory, just had its hands tied and was forced to make it more pay to win throughout the years? You had League of Legends, that was free to play and had skins, buying characters as a foreign currency. Same thing with Dota, Roblox, CSGO, and TF2. You know, one reason why people probably hacked too was because they felt this imbalance and just said, fuck it, wanted to actually win. But that's when the core community starts to leave. When you have the core community that makes quickscope montages and funny moments on YouTube, that's your free marketing. That's what entices people to start playing your game instead of that other free-to-play game. But when you disregard these people by making it even more pay to win and letting hackers come through all the time, these people that are skilled at this video game say fuck it and leave, and then your player base just keeps on dropping. You had a good thing, you stupid son of a bitch. We had players. We had a community. We had everything we needed, and it all ran like clockwork. You could have shut your mouth, coded, and made as much money as you ever needed. It was perfect. But no, you just had to blow it up. You and your pride and your ego. Despite all this though, this era was a golden moment in such an ever-changing landscape of the internet. I feel like we won't get these games again because the formula is already made. Counter-Strike has the jaggedness of the guns. Valorant has the wacky abilities. Call of Duty has iron sights. Fortnite has Peter Griffin's skin. But there was a time when developers made games that were unpolished, and that was the allure itself. When Team Deathmatch just felt like a clusterfuck of distorted bullet noises and hand grenades thrown everywhere and everything. When aimbot and wall hacks were the daily norm. When you Google, can my computer run it when a new free FPS game came out? It's a time to look back at it all and just say, man, fuck this, I'm playing League of Legends.
How's it going?
How's it going?
play some League of Legends.
Ah, shit.